It's a heartbreaking case. The judge is on the bench there, and the first witness of the day is taking the stand. It's the medical examiner, so this is going to be very difficult. Some of it going through the injuries that poor little Gannon suffered. Her name is the medical examiner, Susan Ignacio, and these are not our cameras in the courtroom. These are the court cameras, so we don't have any control over them, so apologies out of the gate if something doesn't work. We just don't have, we have a feed from the court, but it's very regulated. So let's go in live and listen to Susan Ignacio on the stand. She's the medical examiner in this case.
On to 161.
And this is the right hand, the back of the right hand. And you can see here that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds here. And you can see like the edges are clean cut, caused by a sharp object.
When we're looking at these in conjunction with the last photo of the arm and then this one here with hands, when we're talking about cuts to the hands and the forearm areas of Gannon Stauch, how would you characterize those types of wounds?
They're consistent with defensive wounds,
Okay.
trying to protect yourself.
Indicating that potentially Gannon was putting his hands up to guard against whatever was happening?
Yes,
And then they get cut in the process of that?
yes.
Okay. 162, please.
This one shows, excuse me, this one shows the right hand, like the palmar aspect of the right hand. And this is another cut in the middle finger, right middle finger.
163.
It's the same photo right there.
Okay, and this is just
This is the ring finger.
right.
This is the, oh, sorry. No, sorry. That's the middle finger and the ring finger's right here.
Okay, and then you're just pulling the fingertip back to be able to see that particular cut more towards the, I guess, the pad of the fingertip.
Yes.
164, please.
So we're looking at his back, and there's a sharp force injury on the left upper back, right there.
This sharp force injury to the upper back, was this one of the deeper sharp force injuries that you were able to document that Gannon suffered?
Yes, it fractured the left sixth rib, and it also penetrated the left fifth intercostal space. So that's the space between the fifth and sixth ribs.
Does that then cause, I guess, entry into, I guess, the back side of the chest cavity? Does it go that deep?
Yes, it does enter the chest cavity.
165.
And that's a close-up view of the back injury.
Again, is this a sharp force injury similar to the other sharp force injuries we've been looking at this morning?
Yes.
166.
So there's another sharp force injury here. Another one here.
Would this be essentially the back side of Gannon's left shoulder?
Yes. So this wound ended in the scapula. It hit the bone here, so it just went through the bone, the shoulder blade. And then this one went deeper into the shoulder joint, the left shoulder joint, about 4 inches deep.
4 inches deep, you said?
Yes.
167, please. This is a close-up of that more shallow injury, and then the other deeper one is apparent sort of to the left of that.
Yes.
There appears to be some black fiber there. Can you tell the jury what that is?
It could be from his jacket or t-shirt.
So basically fibers from clothing.
Yes.
Is it common for fibers from clothing?
All right, we're going to slip in a commercial break here. It's just horrible, detailing the wounds that Gannon Stauch sustained, including 18 stab wounds, many of them, as you just heard, defensive wounds to his hands as he was trying to protect himself at the hands of his stepmother, Letecia Stauch, who admits she did it. but her defense says she was legally insane at the time. We'll get a break in here. We'll get an update out of Lori Vallow as well. The judge is on the bench there, and he is giving the preliminary instructions to the jury, which will be followed by the opening statements. Stay with us.
It's a mystery that's captivated the nation.
This stretches just so beyond what anyone could imagine.
And left a trail of dead bodies.
Lori Vallow Daybell, accused of triple murder, including her 2 youngest children.
You'll hear every dramatic moment with real-time expert analysis.
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
The Doomsday Cult Mom Murder Trial, today, only on Court TV. It's a mystery that's captivated the nation.
This stretches just so beyond what anyone could imagine.
And left a trail of dead bodies.
Does she pose a threat to your children?
I don't know what she's going to do with them.
Lori Vallow Daybell, accused of triple murder, including her 2 youngest children.
Investigators have recovered human remains.
Now, after many twists and turns, she will finally stand trial.
This is case CR 22-211624, State versus Lori Maureen Vallow.
You'll hear every dramatic moment with real-time expert analysis.
Let me please tap into your experience.
Court TV brings you inside the trial as a jury decides the fate of the Doomsday Cult Mom.
Nothing is coincidental.
Think about all the people that had to die and disappear.
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
The Doomsday Cult Mom Murder Trial, today, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live, and we are covering the Doomsday Cult Mom Murder Trial for Lori Vallow Daybell out in Idaho. Jury instructions are underway right now, the preliminary jury instructions for Lori Vallow. She, of course, is accused of killing her 2 children and her husband's first wife, Tammy Daybell, back in the fall of 2019. Friends say that Lori and her new husband, Chad, believed that the victims had become possessed by evil spirits, which prompted the killings. Cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but we have our Chanley painter inside the courtroom, along with our producer, Emmanuel Grinberg, and Matt Johnson's outside the courthouse. And we can pass this along. Right now they are, the jurors listening to these preliminary instructions. They're sitting in long rows, one behind each other, in the courtroom, stacked like many courtrooms are, this in Boise, Idaho. Meanwhile, in Colorado, testimony continues in the stepmother murder trial. Letecia Stauch is accused of killing her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon, after first reporting him missing to police in January of 2020. Let's go back into the courtroom. We were listening to testimony from the medical examiner. Her name is Susan Ignacio. Let's go back in live and listen to some more of this very difficult testimony.
I counted 18.
And then as it relates to the number of blunt force injuries that Gannon suffered, how many did those occur?
4 lacerations.
4 lacerations that coincide with blunt force injury?
Yes.
Okay. If we could move on to 179. What are we looking at in 179?
So this is the left side of the face. Here's the ear, head, eye area. This is the jaw, the left side of the jaw, lower jaw. And there's a hole right here.
What caused that hole?
This is due to a gunshot wound.
180.
And this is a close-up gunshot wound.
Is it typical, doctor, when you document a gunshot to try to figure out path the bullet traveled as it entered into a human victim?
Yes.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Can you describe, either using the diagrams or just through words, however you want to do it, can you describe the path that this particular bullet took through Gannon as it entered his body?
I think we should use...
Okay, I'll come over and help.
Oh, it's not easy.
Which one do you want? 46, 145. 145? make it easier on our jury, we also got the shortest easel we could find. So I'm going to hold this up, actually, Doctor, if that's okay.
Go back.
That's okay. Well, they won't be able to see it.
Okay.
Back there.
So the entrance gunshot wound was in the left side of the jaw, lower jaw, the mandible. This entered the oral cavity. It hit the cervical, this second and third cervical vertebrae. So it went to the back. It crossed the midline, and I recovered the projectile. It didn't enter the skull, the cranial cavity, so I recovered it on the right side where the muscles are of the neck. So there was a projectile that went from left to right and then front to back.
And then, so when you recovered the projectile, was it still in the, basically the muscle tissue in the back of the head?
Yes.
Okay. So, Doctor, you can sit back down if you'd like. When we're talking about the types of injuries that Gannon, that you were able to identify that Gannon had suffered, 18 sharp force injuries, 4 blunt force lacerations, and then 1 gunshot through the chin. Does that indicate to you that there's some progression that these injuries had to occur in?
Yes.
Tell the jury what we mean by that and what it is that you're using to rely on and make that conclusion.
Regarding the sharp force injuries coming first?
Well, do you know which one came first?
I don't really know, but I'm thinking that it's the sharp force injuries because he could still defend himself. And then I don't know which one came first, the gunshot wound or the blunt trauma to the head, which caused fractures of his skull and bleeding in his brain.
So the best that you can tell is that sharp force injuries occurred before gunshot. Is that right?
Yes.
But it's unclear whether blunt force or gunshot, which one of those occurred first.
Yes.
Does that indicate some period of time to achieve all of those injuries for whoever was attacking him?
Yes.
The fact that there's 18 sharp force injuries?
Yes.
And then 4 blunt force injuries?
Yes.
And then a gunshot that entered into the lower left chin and traveled through the oral cavity and all that?
Yes.
What were you able to rule as the cause and manner of death for Gannon Stauch?
My cause of death was gunshot wound and blunt head trauma of the head.
Were there contributing factors to the cause of death?
Yes. Sharp force injuries.
Those 18 sharp force injuries that we talked about?
Yes.
And what was the manner of death?
Homicide.
Is it typical, doctor, that you perform a toxicology test as well?
Yes.
When you do an autopsy?
Yes.
What is the purpose of doing a toxicology report?
We do it in all violent deaths, and it's to determine whether there were any drugs or what drugs were in the system.
Was that performed on Gannon Stauch?
Yes.
Was there anything unusual detected in Gannon Stauch at the time of autopsy?
There were some drugs, or there was a drug that was present.
Okay, so let's talk first.
18 stab wounds, 4 blunt force injuries to the head causing bleeding of the cranium, and a gunshot wound to the neck. This 11-year-old was attacked viciously. And we know who did it because the defendant admits she did it, and her defense is that she did it because she was legally insane at the time of the incident. If you look at the courtroom, this is, again, these are not our cameras. There are certain rules that we're following. You see the witness there. Letecia Stauch, the defendant, is all the way over to the one side of your screen wearing the light color. And for most of this, she has had her head down. Now she has her just kind of fist in her chin and is listening to it. For most of the day, her head has been down as the details of what happened to her 11-year-old stepson were given to this jury. Gabriel Sepulveda Sanchez is watching along with this defense attorney in New York. Gabriel, the victim here, all of it is just so heartbreaking. And the reason of insanity, not guilty by reason of insanity, is a pretty difficult hurdle, is it not, given this defendant's behavior before and after, specifically, the murder of little Gannon?
Definitely. Reason of insanity, you have to show that they did not understand the nature and quality of their acts. Like, they just did not understand what's right from wrong. And you can have a good sense if someone's insane by just looking at their behavior. And with her, it seems like she's almost remorseful when you kind of look at her, and she's having a hard time hearing what she did. So insanity, you really have to show that you just didn't know what you were doing. Like, you didn't know, you can't be punished for something if you don't know what's right from wrong. And I don't think that's a situation here. You don't just go insane and then not go insane. That's not what's going on in this case. And she just looks like she's just having a hard time hearing this, and hearing this medical, the doctor who did the autopsy. It's very difficult. I think it's important for the DA to do this to show how evil this act was and how vicious this was. This wasn't just a gunshot wound to the head. This wasn't one stab wound to the chest. This was a repeated stabbing, blunt force trauma, and then a gunshot wound. It was horrific, and I think that's the DA setting this up and getting those details out so he can portray to the jury how bad this was and how evil this act was. He did a good job in his opening statement, going into detail about the knife wounds, and it's not enough to just say that this child was killed. He needed to show how this was. He died in the worst way imaginable, and he did a good job of doing that. And yeah, and this is a tough one to hear.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. A very scared 11-year-old being attacked by his stepmother is what clearly happened here, and it's just horrible.